Okay, so now we're at the last quartet. This is number 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
135.
So this is like his last statement.
And what's interesting is he kind of gave his last statement multiple times. He was in a bad way for the last period of his life. So I'm sure there were multiple quartets that we know he thought to be his last. The first of the last was the Opus 130 that we mentioned.
Yes, the one you said. Yes, the Beethoven.
Yeah,
yes.
He thought that was it. Thankfully, it wasn't. So each of the last quartets is sort of like a unique reflection on mortality, or at least that's one of the ways we can look at it. And
well, that kind of makes sense because he maybe didn't even know if it was his last statement yet.
Right.
He didn't really know. He was like, okay, now at this moment, this is my last statement. And I guess I'm still around. I guess I have another last statement.
I guess we'll try it again the way I'm thinking you out.
And I'll do another one. So that kind of makes sense because if he was so, up and down with his own circumstances and his own life, then yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And by the time he gets to the very last quartet here, he has completely dissolved the expectations of how a quartet is structured. He's completely dissolved our sense of meter and time and the necessity of having regularity with our meter and time. He's gotten rid of that. That's not to say he never uses it for an effect, but he's already told us, can't rely on that. Same thing with harmony. He's taken classical harmony, which is sort of like pillars built on a baseline.
Right.
That's a massive oversimplification. And now he's created a really fluent version of what we call chromatic harmony. In classical harmony, you have a tonic or a home key.
Yes.
And the language is built around how you return to that key.
And related keys is where you land.
Yeah, and how far we go from there. Our sense of space is all about that home key, that tonic.
Okay.
And chromatic harmony is a version of creating chord progressions where things are much more quickly accessible. For example, two keys that are very, very dissimilar from one another in the classical style. It would take Mozart or Haydn pages to modulate from, D flat major to C minor or something like that. Beethoven has created a fluent toolbox where he's able to get there real fast, basically instantly. And that's the world of chromatic harmony. And it's sort of like, it oozes around. And and the music doesn't sound like it's oozing necessarily, but if you were to think about the harmonies visually, it's kind of how it seems to me. So let's take a basic version of harmony, which would be a triad. And then, so some examples of chromatic harmony movements.
Right.
That can happen. We can take that triad and we can alter one of the members of it. So let's say this represents C major, for example. What happens if I take that third and I shove it down? Now I've got C minor. Because that's one movement away, like checkers. That's a really easy movement for me to do.
Yeah.
From, in the classical style, to modulate from a major key to a minor key, you got to earn that. That takes time. But in this system, it's right there. Same thing goes for pivoting around harmonies. Let's say I've got two chords I want to use, and they have two pitches in common with each other, right? It's really easy for me to swap this pitch for this pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got this harmony. And in the classical style, you would have had to invent chord progressions to get you from here to here. But now I can just snake. I can pivot.
So it'd be like going from C major to A minor.
Right.
Like that.
Right. And there are examples of things like that where the bass line works out, where we would see movements like that. But in the world of Beethoven, it becomes much more fluid, much more slidey. The kind of movements that you can get away transforming a harmony, movements that you can get away with, are very distantly related, very adjacent to the original harmony. It's another example of moving in that direction might be, we talked about, all right, I've got two common tones and I can do this. Beethoven's at the point where I've got one common tone and I can do this. That sounds really dissimilar, right? and maybe I'm also going to alter the common tone. So it's suggestive harmony is kind of how it feels to me.
Do you think he just became more, maybe with all of this experimentation he was doing, all of this, like not just breaking the box like I was talking about, but like building the box in a different way and then breaking the box again and then building it another way. Was he getting better at building? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Building, learning how these were working together. Did he learn some secrets? Because if Mozart and Haydn were taking the long way to get there, maybe he was like, oh, hey, like Chutes and Ladders. Hey, we'll just go like that. I mean, was he maybe like discovering it as he went?
He's making many different sensations
Mm-hmm.
available all at once.
Yeah.
Many different sensations. If this harmony, the way you've led up to it, makes you feel a certain way, you've got hundreds of options for the next harmony you use, to the point where you can create surprises and an organic version of communication that's endless.
Yeah.
And he's just moving around harmony as space.
Yeah,
in a very exploratory way.
Like he's like finding the equivalent of a wormhole that he can just get there quicker. You know what I mean? He's just like, well, this makes sense, and he just goes there.
Exactly. He's completely unrestricted with.
That's
and I shouldn't say completely, because there are plenty of conventions that he's following, like this notion that a harmony is a triad stacked in thirds. Okay, that is like core tonality.
Yeah,
he's there. Right? He's not completely unplugged from that, but the language is a totally different dialect. Mm-hmm. It's poetic, it's free, it's liberated. And the same thing goes, like we talked about, he's not removing, he's reinventing form and rhythm.
A new box.
Right.
Yes.
So he's doing that with all the parameters of his music. And it's astonishing.
Well, because you might think that somebody would just think of breaking the box one time, but he's, like I said, he's doing it,
breaking it and rebuilding it,
and rebuilding it, just breaking it, rebuilding it.
And that's where cool stuff happens.
And it doesn't really matter if it's a better box; it's just a different box,
a more flexible box,
or just whatever it is. I get that. That's just kind of what he does.
He's happy to float.
Yeah,
and he thinks we all should. That's kind of how it feels.
Well, and as performers, I mean, does it get a little schizophrenic as a performer when you're like going from early Beethoven to this Beethoven?
Oh, totally. Very challenging. I mean, late Beethoven is some of the most difficult to perform music out there, in my opinion, because the kind of exploring that he's doing with the score, as a performer, you have to be processing that with him. Mm-hmm. And he's out there. He's really out there in some very intense ways. And it takes a lot of rehearsal, it takes a lot of introspection, it takes a lot of really conscious thought to take Beethoven's experiments and harness them. And the parts are extremely difficult to play. There's that too. Like these late quartets are monstrous undertakings.
Do you think that the performers, I mean, this would be obvious to me, but how does it enrich them if they do something like this piece? Does some of Beethoven's, I don't think his genius would rub off on them. I don't mean it that way, but I mean, there has to be something that happens to them that can't even be described, perhaps.
Yeah.
As they're learning it and doing it and working with each other with the parts. I mean that's just an obvious thing that happens with every piece. But is there something special that's going to happen with this late Beethoven?
I think so. Like, as a performer myself, I feel that. Like, the difference for me is with music that's more predictable, it makes a performance more replicatable.
Okay.
When something is almost like a thread of consciousness like this, every time I sit down before a late Beethoven quartet, I feel both unsettled and really excited that this will never sound the same twice. It depends on the mood of every single person there. It depends on everybody reacting to the little accidents that happen that turn into really joyful risks. It depends on, somebody getting a bee in their bonnet about a note that's really cool that they haven't played that way for the first time. And you're down a totally different rabbit hole. All of a sudden that note means something. And that's what's so dense and intricate and confusing and startling and shocking and inviting about late Beethoven. Is like every single note feels like a universe that can send you tumbling in a completely different direction than the last time you played it. So yeah, every time you hear late Beethoven played, those people on stage will not have experienced it that way before.
Or again.
Guaranteed. And that's fun to listen to.
I like what you just said, the phrase joyful risks, because that seems to kind of sum up what I think he's doing.
Yeah.
That was a perfect choice of words.
Yeah.
As soon as you said it, I was just like, yes, that's what he's doing.
That's it.
Joyful risks.
Yeah.
And he's inviting you to do the same.
And if you're not ready to accept that invitation, you're in for a rough ride in late Beethoven.
But he's inviting the listener, but the performers as well.
The performers especially got to be ready for that.
Yes, but they have to be so. But I'm presuming risks are still kind of, it's necessary to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that maybe some of what he's asking still might seem a little formidable. Yes?
Utterly formidable.
Utterly formidable. Okay.
Utterly formidable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what a wonderful thing that he's left for all of the performers.
I know.
That can do this.
I know.
I can't, but obviously I'll hear it in a different way. Is there any particular passage that you want to highlight, or?
Sure. I mean, like the first movement is, let's just look at the first line, and then the first movement's awesome. You'll enjoy it. Look at this compared to the 18-3 texture we looked at the beginning.
It's already shared so much. It's not that.
Yeah, it's almost pointillistic.
Yeah.
Sparse.
Yes.
And organismal.
And just little bitty statements, just like this,
boom,
and this, and that.
Yeah. And late Beethoven is doing this all the time. It's fragmented, and it's an exploration of a fragment, right? So it's less melodic sometimes. And that can be disconcerting to listen to. Like, we're used to sort of riding along on the vehicle of a melody that we either recognize or is easily hummable or singable or something.
Right.
Late Beethoven is not always giving you that help. You have to be listening on an almost microscopic level to, like, for example, at the beginning of this. We're going to explore that now.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. That's what happens if we have two voices doing it and we emphasize that.
Got it.
Bi-da-da-dum, bi-da-da-dum, bi-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, that's what happens if I take that little rhythm and chain it. Wow. So nerdy. And you've got to be ready to not hear a melody. You've got to be ready to be like, oh yeah, it's fascination listening.
It's almost like, I was just thinking about, like, if it was like painting, just, or like, what if you would have go,
yeah, you're like, oh, well, right, it's like that little detail is.
That's what it kind of felt like when you said that. But it's kind of like the experimentation. You get to feel what it feels like to have that experimentation happening right in front of you. And
I think, and it feels almost stupid to be that fascinated by something so simple, which is disarming, and I think that's what he's after is everyone calm down. It's disarming.
Like, it's okay. We're going to the next one.
Yeah. And then I'm going to leave the rest of the first movement up for people to experience.
Sure. Yeah. But
it's, yeah.
I think if it's this dense, it's going to be a tough thing to really easily encapsulate, even in a short. The way you're just talking about it, it's going to be different every time anybody plays it.
Well, you are not going to feel like you've grasped this music after hearing it once.
Okay, well, good. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah, dissuade yourselves of any notion that you're going to feel like you've mastered what's happening after hearing it once. Right? Second movement. Hey, do you remember second movements are slow and lyrical? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Right. Ding dong
This is
dong
vivace.
dong, vivace. Right? And here, this whole movement, I
Well,
will,
in unison, almost. In unison rhythmically, right?
but all in the wrong place, right? I will give the first concert goer my favorite buck, who is able to clap or snap through this movement on the downbeats correctly. It is utterly impossible. It is extremely mentally chaotic to the performers.
I was going to say it must
Right?
be impossible.
And that puts an expressive veneer on top of what you're seeing. Like, it is so, every moment feels like you could get plowed down by a semi-truck and just spit out. You know, it's terrifying. And
Sorry to laugh,
wonderful.
but it sounds just like utterly terrifying.
Yeah, and then there's this spastic first violin moment. Where here it is. Look at that. 3 out of the 4 of them. And the first one, look at these just.
Actually,
Right? It's almost like he's joking at Haydn. Do you remember that like 3+1 texture?
yes, exactly.
Here it is in like a super caricaturized version of itself, where you have a first violin who's gonna need a drink after this, and everybody else is just like making fun of them. It's hilarious. Dude's about to die, and he's playing a joke on the first violinist. Like, it says something
Sorry.
about a person.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would never have thought that I would ever get the joke.
And this is what late
Beethoven,
Beethoven is,
yeah.
right? Like, we characterize Beethoven by being sort of grumpy and gruff, but he does stuff like this constantly throughout the end of his life, where he's saying either like stop taking it seriously or unbelievable moments of beauty and sensitivity. Like the guard comes down, and then the third movement, like,
Tranquilo.
yeah, assai lento, very slow, cantante, singing, e tranquillo, calm. It's just, I mean, this is very similar to that Opus 130 Cavatina, the first time he said goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is again. It's an ultimate expression of this sort of moving around that we were talking about, where like every chord is like a crystal that you get to admire. And then it's beautiful and rich and satisfying, and then it evolves into this whispered, insubstantial thing, like he's just floating away with you, like brings you to the front of your seat in a live performance. Like, are they playing?
Really?
And he brings you in and then washes over you. And it's just...
Oh, I'm going to do my best to hear this one.
Yeah. And then the last movement is very famous because he inscribes at the top of the movement, Muss es sein, must it be?
Oh.
And he actually labels Di da da muss es sein, terrible singer and a German. Right? And so he actually labels a motive. He labels 3 notes with a text meaning. He specifies it. Must it be? And then, bum bum bum, bum bum bum, es muss sein.
It must be.
It must be. And like the way the opening of this movement, the muss es sein, must it be? It sounds just horrifically ominous. Like the most treacherous version of being at a cliff edge.
Oh.
That you think the muss es sein must be this devastating. It must be. But no, it's this like jolly ba-ba-da, da-dee-da, da-da. You're like,
So another joke.
I thought you were terrified of this question.
I was going to say.
Exactly.
Another joke.
Totally. And then we get the terror later on.
Okay.
Where is it? Where we get through here and we go into like this wretched minor key, and then everybody is just screaming away on the wrong note. Grave man non troppo alto, ra da 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 da. And it's like this screaming kind of drama. You get it all.
Do you think it's possible? So, I mean, it seems obvious to me. If he's saying, must it be? Yes, it must be. It must be. Is he asking the question, do I really have to die? Am I really done? I guess I must be done.
And
I guess I must be done.
That's okay. That's
And he's
okay.
like,
I've come to grips with that.
And then he's just like, wait a minute.
No! Yeah, right.
It's almost, he's going through the gamut of emotions.
It's like a multiple choice
Yes.
question. Which of these things do you believe in?
Yeah, and he's like, I thought that was the one I wanted, but no, this is the one,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know. I'm going to scream about it. I'm angry.
Yes.
And then
What comes after that?
I'm not going to spoil the ending.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil the ending. I'm
Okay.
going to let all of you experience that.
I let Beethoven surprise us.
Yeah.
I won't even peek. I promise.
Yeah. I have to turn this off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.